And I would like you, if you'd be so kind, to tell us a little bit about your story. You look vibrantly healthy. Your eyes are bright and smiling. And I know that wasn't always the case.
You know, Dr. J, just a little over 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with what ended up being stage 4 aggressive, inoperable, and chemo-resistant colon cancer. But my health issues actually started long before that, as they likely do, and as they always do when you have a cancer diagnosis. And I really bring my body's reactive or place in being in dis-ease about 10 years or about 10, well, it happened in 2010. The first time I actually recognized I was not healthy was the day I went to get divorced. And my body produced a hives from head to toe. And every year, every day for 13 years, I was fighting hives. I was fighting this reaction. And instead of looking for the root cause, we were masking symptoms. So I really believe my health story started really in 2010 and continuously got worse because of the masking of my immune system, my inability to deal with the trauma, my stress levels, the way I was feeding myself to deal with the stress and the trauma and the emotions. I was not exercising my body. So when you look at my timeline from 2010 until when I was diagnosed in 2022, it's a clear picture of how my health went down over time and until I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And that really was my wake up call when I realized I cannot live the way I've been living. And at that point, I was willing to change anything and everything to give myself the health advantage.
Beautifully said. I'd like to unpack a little of that because very often the original causes are of long, slow decline duration. We've studied three types of people. There are a growing number of people that are getting sicker, younger, and longer. There's the average person. I am not a fan of averages and statistics. But then there's this interesting subgroup of people who either reached their peak of productivity and stayed for life at that high level of vitality and health, and a subset of them had your experience. They got sick, they found a better way, they recovered, and their life was better because of it.
Absolutely.
However, we get to that moment of choice, however, we get to that moment of realizing that our habits of daily living determine the quality of our life. And invisibly to most of us, our body wants to renew. Give it the essential building blocks it needs in light of today's requirements and today's toxic burden. And now, everything from cells to systems get better. Now, this may be a surprise to many people who believe that cancer requires chemotherapy and not lifestyle. But my colleague, Abram Hoffer, published some years ago a brilliant book called Vitamin C and Cancer, and he took two populations. He took people who just did conventional chemotherapy, and then he had a experimental group that followed his lifestyle program along with good conventional care. The differences were dramatic. The people who did just chemo and conventional care lived an average of 6 months. The people who followed his plan, best of both approach, lived 10 plus years. There is an important meeting, it's called the ASCO meeting on cancer every year. If a specific regimen has improved life by even 1 month, it's the hero of the ASCO meeting. So we know the answer. Lifestyle is muy importante. It is very essential that you reduce the amount of toxic burden you're under, reduce the amount of stress you're under by using a green light, a very specific kind of green light. And we have now a book about Bhante Dharmawara, the Cambodian monk who got sick and then got well, and then had decades where he taught this non-invasive lifestyle system. You don't have to use esoteric Sanskrit words. But how much whole food fiber do you get? How much hydration from wet foods and healthy beverages? How much microplastic and harm do you get from anything in plastic? I've invited you, and I hope you'll take us up on it, because we enjoy being in the kitchen. We're active in the kitchen. We have healthy spices and herbs, which are hard to get, but possible.
Yeah.
And whole foods in a wide variety of ways that nourish our microbiome and digestion, our detoxification, our metabolism, our mood and perception. All of this depends on the quality of what you fuel and hydrate your body with, and includes mobility. Walking turns out to be an excellent exercise. If you walk for 20 minutes, especially outside under a green canopy, your brain improves. Just 20 minutes. Wow. This is a choice. If you sit too long in front of a screen, that can be a problem. I recommend for 5 minutes an hour, you get up, move around, stretch, hydrate, look far and near, interact with other people, and then you can go back. Hopefully to have a good quality chair that allows you to rotate and wobble just a little bit.
Yeah.
Stretching is always important. I stretch in the morning before I get out of bed. I stretch in the evening before bed. And before and after exercise, I stretch. This moves fluids to deliver the nutrients and take away the waste from the organs of your body. If you don't stretch, you begin to atrophy. You develop metabolic acidosis. Your cells are too acid because they lack magnesium. And we have found that when you take magnesium with choline citrate, you triple the uptake of the magnesium, you overcome the choline deficiency, you build acetylcholine, helpful neurotransmitter, your bile removes harmful substances from the liver and delivers them to the fiber in the gut to remove quickly from you. You should know your digestive transit time. You should know your hydration status. You should know what your urine pH is in the morning and adjust your magnesium and choline citrate accordingly. These are self-assessments. And actually, certain tests are better done fresh and real rather than pee in a cup, take it to the lab, and have them analyze it. When I was at NIH, we proved that fresh urine was predictive, and that urine that had just sat for 6 hours or more had lost its predictive capabilities.
Okay.
So there are self-assessments that we do recommend. And then there are 8 predictive biomarkers that give you a metabolic status. Your hemoglobin A1C should be less than 5%. I noticed just in the last few days, a major international study says the more sugar you have stuck on your proteins, the more cardiorespiratory risk, cancer risk, autoimmunity risk, maldigestion, intoxication, all of them are somewhat a function of how much sugar is stuck onto protein. Now, we generally measure hemoglobin A1C. In some cases, we measure a different protein and how much sugar is stuck onto it. However you measure it, you should avoid extra sugar because there are age-related, glycosylated end products, AGEs, which increase the risk of heart and stroke and coronary disease.
Okay.
You should know what your high sensitivity C-reactive protein is, your HSCRP. That's your measure of repair deficit, which is inflammation. Inflammation is not to be fought. Inflammation is a message that your body needs to repair. Then homocysteine in the plasma, a classic marker pioneered by Kilmer-McCulley, who showed that atherosclerosis accelerates when homocysteine is elevated and methionine is low. Today, you want your methionine to be high and your homocysteine to be low, less than 6. Then, your microbiome, your metabolism. And we have a very specific protocol, a digestive quintet, to improve everything from mouth and stomach digestion to small and large intestine and rectum evacuation. We recommend a C cleanse to determine how much ascorbate you need to deal with the distress and toxins of your world. We recommend an omega-3 index because you need both omega-3 and omega-6, except today, according to Artemis Simopoulos and the NHANES data, many people are getting 30 to 60 times more omega-6 than omega-3. Omega-6 promotes activation. You don't want too little or too much activation. You need a balance between omega-3 and omega-6. You can assume that you're getting omega-6 from your diet.
Okay.
And therefore, I recommend an omega-3 index. It should be more than 8%. And Bill Harris, the man who developed and has documented this study, I called him up and I said, my omega-3 index was 13. Is that better than 8? He said, we don't have enough people who have a 13. Keep doing what you're doing. So yes, I want to be exceptional because I want to live long, well, and healthy, and I want to be dancing. I don't want to just be surviving. I want to be thriving, as you are now, because of your lifestyle changes. In the cancer literature, there are hundreds and hundreds of stories or reports of spontaneous remission. You would be in the category of spontaneous remission. How come some people lose their cancer and other people grow their cancer? The Simontons, colleagues from decades ago, they found if people practice a relaxation response or a meditation technique or a prayer technique or a balancing technique, they recovered dramatically, more quickly, more completely. It helped for them to be a bit angry at the cancer. It helped for them to think about their body, their immune defense and repair system, their hormones and neurochemicals, all being activated to kill cancer cells. And I imagine you know this, most people don't realize that we're making cancer cells almost every day. And when we get restorative sleep, as I highly recommend, when we get restorative sleep, the pineal gland tells the pituitary, and the pituitary tells the rest of the body how to touch every cell in the body, and any abnormal cells are eliminated by a process called apoptosis. This is remarkable. We are a self-repairing system that too often doesn't provide the essential building blocks so that we can eliminate worn out parts, abnormal parts, parts that need to be renewed. This is all going on in the background. This is all going on without your having to force it. And guess what? There's no prescription that's better than nature, nurture, and wholeness. If you're eating a whole foods diet free of toxins, it will be nutrient dense and fiber cofactor rich, etc. If you urinate every 2 hours while awake, you're well hydrated. Most people are 1 to 3% dehydrated, and dehydration turns out to be a terrible stress on your immune defense and repair system, on your hormones and neurochemicals, on your heart and lungs, and the rest of you. So if you want fewer wrinkles, if you want your skin to be more lustrous, then choose to be well hydrated, choose a nutrient-dense, anti-nutrient deficient consumption, and practice relaxation response like Herb Benson taught, or mindfulness technique, or meditation, or prayer. I've been at it now for close to half a century. And I'm still in awe of how my ability to repair myself and you to repair yourself exists today. Despite all the stresses of high-tech living, despite all the toxins to which we might get exposed, you can reduce by 80% the toxin exposure. And you can enhance your liver, kidney, and spleen, and lungs, and skin ability to get rid of the other 20%. So most people believe that after some relatively young age, you start to decline. And when that decline becomes significant, you have symptoms that need to be suppressed. What I have learned is that symptom suppression is less effective than getting to the causes. But understanding the causes rather than just the symptomatic consequences is a paradigm shift. Now, I've been involved with a number of these so-called paradigm shifts. Now, paradigm shift in essence means when you start to articulate a point of view that is more proactive and preventive, people say it can't be that simple. I don't agree with you. Then, eventually, they knew it all along. That's fine. Paradigm shifts have occurred. There used to be ashtrays in every conference room. I don't think any conference room today has an ashtray.
Yeah.
So we have changed the habits of people with regard to smoking. And by the way, sitting is the new smoking. And anti-nutrients in your environment are just as harmful. But it's choice. Once you become aware, you can make intelligent choices about fuel, hydration, attitude, and environment. I mentioned that we have a permaculture biodynamic food forest, 15 years old, started by my son. We don't have any lawn to mow. We have a lot of herbs and staples of the kitchen and fruit that we can go out, harvest, bring back, and share. So I like being active in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I like being able to prepare for restorative sleep at night. I like my daily rituals, including green light meditation, abdominal breathing, and relaxation response. And I think you know, but some might not know, that after 10,000 hours of practice, yes, practice takes time. After 10,000 hours, Richie Davidson can confirm with his MRI devices that your brain changes for the better. Your brain is very plastic. It's constantly adapting to what you see, sense, and consume, what you get exposed to. So we live in toxic times. We live in interesting times when the crave factor is what packaged goods companies spend a lot of time to perfect. Now, in essence, that's the wrong salt, the wrong fat, the wrong protein, lacking fiber, lacking nutrients, but it does make you crave more of and gain weight because of that craving.
Yeah.
So I just say no. And then a question that kind of often comes up is, What do I do at night when I'm hungry? Because the middle of the night, you might be hungry. What I say is whole fruit, berries, melons, seeds, and nuts.
Okay.
There's nothing in my home that's packaged and available as a snack. I let natural products be the satisfying snacks, and just a little bit of them properly chewed gives you satiety. It makes you not want the Snickers. Now, I had a colleague who said she would drive 5 miles to get a Snickers in the middle of the night. And I said, well, we should talk because you're making choices and you don't realize what's driving those choices.
Yeah.
So I want to pull back the curtain, reveal the primary proactive approaches that help renew you. Your body is not your enemy. Many people feel that they're either going to have heart disease, cancer, autoimmunity, or just decline into chronic illness. No, those are choices. Those are the choices that we make day by day. Any challenges, any questions about this approach?
I have three that you mentioned that I just wanted to get a little bit more detail on. Okay. So you mentioned like water and hydration being so important. I know that there are a lot of schools of thought as to the best water to drink. So can you talk to me a little bit about what is the best hydration or best tool for hydration when you think about water? Is it alkaline, I'm guessing? Is it spring? Is it like as you help to understand the water that's available, how would I choose the best versus worst?
If you can have more whole fruit and wet foods, have more broths, bouillons, soups. Start every meal with something wet and warm, maybe including 3 drops of our digestive aid because stomach maldigestion is just rampant today. But my point is, the water you drink should be mineral rich and toxin poor. I measure my well water. I do have a deep well, and I'm very grateful for that. But if you get tap water from the community, the chances are it has too much aluminum and toxic metals. The chances are it's gray water, and I wouldn't drink that. Now, I know it's convenient to turn on the tap, but what if what is coming out of the tap is toxic? So I recommend the Tap Score company. I don't have anything to do with that, but I do find their analysis simple to understand, including is there toxins in the water and are there helpful minerals? Because the more magnesium and helpful minerals there are in your water, the less toxic metal your body will absorb.
Okay.
So be careful of the water source. Water should always come in glass, never in plastic. Anything in plastic will have microplastic and other harmful chemicals in it. So I do like sparkling water. My preference is Pellegrino because it's particularly low in microplastic, but always in glass and always mineral water. Now, that could get expensive, and I recommend finding a source for 5 gallons at a time delivered to your home, either in glass or in polycarbonate, which is a very hard plastic that does not leach microplastic. But you can get delivered to your home 5 gallons at a time with a little device that allows you to pour out however much you want. And now you can get healthy water, and you should feel good about that.
That's what I did right when I was diagnosed because I love cold water, and I heard spring water was more beneficial than other types of water because of the minerals. And so I've had a water cooler in my home for the last 5 years, and I absolutely love it. And that's where I wondered, is even that good enough, or do I need to go
Well,
to?
that is better than almost all procedures and devices to, quote, improve your water. Reverse
Okay.
osmosis has problems. Carbon block filters have many problems. What I recommend is start with healthy water, and then you don't have to treat it at all.
Perfect. Okay. You said something else that I just wanted to clarify, and this was that anti-nutrients are harmful. Can you describe some of those anti-nutrients?
Oh, sure. Anti-nutrients are pro-oxidative. They deplete your body from its antioxidant requirements. So the amount of antioxidant ascorbate and other antioxidants today, the need is much higher than it used to be because of these anti-nutrients that are pro-oxidative and deplete the needed essential nutrients.
Okay.
So I want to reduce those anti-nutrients, those oxidative stresses, and both mind and body, so that you have as little toxin in your body to deal with, because you have a remarkable set of organs: your liver, kidneys, and spleen, your lungs, heart, and brains. There's a central nervous system brain, there's a gut nervous system brain, and I think there's a third cardiorespiratory system, but that's to be yet documented. So I want you to use habits of daily living to achieve good health, and in a very personalized way, take in the essential nutrients you need for today's healthy living.
Okay, perfect.
Mm.
Okay, last question that I know we need to jump over is you mentioned green light. Is that a dichromatic green light?
Yes, I have long recommended the dichromatic green lights. They're very hard to get now. We do recommend a very specific LED green, but this is modified by Philips. I can send you the link if you would like.
Yeah.
And it seems to be as effective as the dichro, with one little difference. The dichro was 150 watts of energy. The LED is 100-watt equivalent of energy, so you use it for 30 minutes rather than 20 minutes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. No, living green is a very important part of living well today.
Perfect.
Yes, and thank you so much for being with us and for clarifying for people how you have managed to reverse the evil decree of cancer and how to now live abundantly, thriving in the 21st century. So thank you.
Thank you so much for everything you've done to help me heal and guide me on my journey. Truly, not only your book, but the conversations we've had are life-changing and have changed hundreds of people that I've interacted with. So it is truly the ripple that you're creating, I'm trying to help amplify.
Bravo. Bravo. May we all be well and happy.
Absolutely.